Wholesaling Houses in New York show. I am Michael Pinter, where I teach you how to start flipping or wholesaling houses in New York, or if you're already doing it, how to grow your business. Let me move the mic closer. Okay, got a great question. It's who holds earnest money in a for sale by owner situation? Now, I've got to explain what earnest money is, what a for sale by owner is, so you can understand what the hell is being asked here. So, okay. Earnest money or earnest money deposit, the EMD, is the money that's given when a buyer is buying a property to as a deposit on the sale. Now, this is dramatically different in New York State versus the 49 other states. In 49 other states, this is usually a token amount. So it's not uncommon for a large transaction in California, $1 million purchase, to have someone put a few $1,000s down as earnest money. And in many places, it's a minimal amount, $50, $100, and in some places, it's given as a check, and the check isn't even deposited. Sorry. In New York, it's dramatically different. Now, again, real estate transactions in the other 49 states take place between a buyer and a seller. If I'm a buyer and you're a seller, I come to you and I say, I want to buy your house for X dollars, and you say, that's great. I, as a buyer, can whip out a contract, give it to you, we sign it, I give you an earnest money deposit, earnest money, or maybe a check that may or may not get deposited, and we are now in contract. Usually there's a contingency period in the other 49 states for me to do an inspection, right? In California, they call that in escrow, open escrow, and there's usually a clear delineation of who can get out of the contract. It's very easy to get into a contract in 49 states, very easy to get out of contract in 49 states. In New York, it does not take place like that. A real estate transaction takes place between a seller's attorney who generates a contract and a buyer's attorney, right? So I have 2, 4, 6. I have 9 properties right now where the seller has said yes to me, but I'm not in contract yet because the attorneys are still talking to each other. So when that happens in New York, the buyer has to give earnest money or an earnest money deposit, and that is always going to be a check or a wire, so that there's a paper trail. And you are not in contract until those funds clear. So it's clear in New York that if you write a check, and also standard is the big part. Standard earnest money deposit in New York is 10% of the purchase price. If I'm buying a house for $300,000, seller's probably going to ask for $30,000. And I have many videos talking about how you can negotiate that less, but you have to give something significant, and you have to give it, and it has to clear. So the standard language in a New York contract is that if the check bounces, or the wire gets bounced, or the wire gets decayed, right? If there's some kind of problem, then you are not in contract at that point. So it's very different in New York. Now, the question is, what happens to earnest money on a for sale by owner? So the real answer is that the seller in a for sale by owner situation should get an attorney in New York, and that attorney will hold the earnest money. In the event that the seller does not have an attorney, first of all, the seller is probably taking a lot of chances that they shouldn't. But it is possible that the buyer can give it to his attorney to hold an escrow. Also, again, I'm assuming at least one of the parties has an attorney. In general, both parties are going to have an attorney. Now, if you are in the other 49 states, the earnest money theoretically is going to be a nominal amount, a small amount, and the seller can hold it, right? Now, as a buyer, you have to understand that if the seller decides not to give it back to you, you're probably not going to get it back. But in the other 49 states, it's usually a much smaller amount, and it may or may not matter to you. That's just irrelevant in New York because there's going to be a seller's attorney who's going to hold the earnest money, even in a for sale by owner situation. Now, let's talk about what a for sale by owner situation is. So I've discussed this before. There really are 3 ways to sell your property. You can go for sale by owner, which means you put out a sign, maybe you list it on Zillow, you try to find buyers yourself. If the property, I'm assuming the property is in good condition, decent condition, mortgageable condition, your other option, if not for sale by owner, is to list it with an agent that'll list on the multiple listing service, the MLS. And understand, 90% of properties are going to be sold that way. They're going to be listed with an agent. The other way is either if the property is in bad, really poor condition where it's not mortgageable, the buyer can't get a mortgage, or there is some kind of timing issue where you don't want to wait for a buyer's timeline, or there's some kind of municipal issue, so maybe there's unpermitted additions, or maybe there's open violations, or there's open permits, open building permits. In those situations, you may want to sell it directly to an investor. Now, I do both those things. I buy properties that need work, usually fix them up and sell them, and I'm also a traditional realtor. So I am a big fan of either of those two ways to sell your property, either listing it with an agent, really, if there's no problem with the property, no problem with you, no time constraint, and you're okay showing the property many times, and you're okay with um, whatever inspection issues could come up and whatever appraisal issues could come up and whatever standard, having a buyer with a mortgage contingency, which, as I've discussed before, really is a get out of contract free card, then you should list your property with an agent. And if it doesn't meet those criteria, then you should sell to an investor, and you'll probably get less money. But the for sale by owner, to me, is a horrible, horrible idea. And I'm going to explain why. I have bought many properties from people that were for sale by owner, and I can tell you the problem with it is if the property is good and you don't list it with an agent, you're not really showing it to as many potential buyers as possible. And you're never going to know if you got the right price for it. Right now, what are we in? Today's November 1st of 2021. We're in a crazy hot market. Almost every property that I list, whether it's mine or for somebody else, is going above asking. Whatever number you pick as a for sale by owner, you don't know if you maxed out on the property. And somebody may just give it to you, and you may be thrilled, and you may be losing significant amount of money, significantly more than you think you're saving by not paying an agent. So I think it's a bad idea. And that's the main reason why. The main reason why is because you're never going to know whether you really got the most for it. Now, you may say, I don't care. If I get my X dollars, I'm thrilled. I still think it's a mistake. That's my opinion, right? And sometimes people say, well, I had a bad experience with an agent, and I understand that. It happens. There are a lot of terrible agents out there, unfortunately. But I would advise you to find a good agent, right? And here's the real kicker here. And one of the reasons why I think I'm the greatest agent ever in the world, because everything is negotiable with an agent. How much you pay, right? So they're going to come to you and tell you, I want you to pay 5%, and then you're going to bitch about it, and then they'll be able to go to 4%, and then you're going to say, I want to give less. And they're going to say something like, well, my broker won't let me take less. Anytime an agent tells you my broker won't let me do anything, you're talking to the wrong agent. So the amount of time you list it for is negotiable. Don't list for a year. Don't even list for 6 months. I think it's absurd. Don't pay 5% commission. That's ridiculous. And then find out what else you're really getting. And you're going to get usually the story is, well, we're going to list it on 500 websites. That's really just listing it on the MLS and all those other websites like Zillow, Trulia, and 5 million others. Just pull off of multiple listing service. So my personal opinion is that if your house is in pretty good shape and you don't have any time constraints and you don't have any municipal issues, you should list it with an agent. And I think you usually will make more money even after you net out the commissions to the realtor, assuming that you're dealing with a realtor who's going to charge you fair commission. Brian Murdoch says I'm back. I'm always back. I posted 5 times a week, every single week, I think for a year. But maybe you missed me. But yes, Brian, I am back. Okay, so sorry. All right, so those are my real options. I personally think that there is no, I don't see a situation where going for sale by owner would be better. In theory, if you're thinking, well, I can get the same amount of money and I don't have to pay commission, that would be great. But you'll never know whether you did it because there are just so many fewer eyeballs on a for sale by owner situation. I know you think, well, I look at Zillow, so everybody must look at Zillow. It's not how it works. Most people, in fact, use a buyer's agent, right? Where they're going to tell their agent, go find me a house. The agent's not going to bring them to a for sale by owner situation if they don't think they're going to get paid. So you can be specifically having a lot of people not coming to you just because of the situation where buyer's agents don't want to show them your property. I've seen that many times. So I hope this was helpful. If you are interested in all the ways I can help you, go to howtoflipnewyork.com. If you are interested in finding out more about the course that I have that teaches how to do what I do, go to howtoflipnewyorkcourse.com. If you're interested in finding out more about one-on-one coaching that I offer, it is coaching.howtoflipnewyork.com. If you are watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're watching on any channel, please click the thumbs up. The likes really help me. And please keep the comments coming. I go live or post at least 5 times a week. Sometimes I don't know what to talk about, so your comments help me and give me ideas. If there are no bad comments, it doesn't have to be about a topic that you on the video you're watching. If it's a simple answer, I'll just reply. If it's a something I've covered before, I'll send you links to the videos, a link to a video or videos on it. And if it's a new topic, I'll do a video on it. So thank you very, very much for watching.